Hi, this is Tom Rhodes. Please join me as I scour the four corners of the earth to bring you interesting and intelligent, funny people who will enrich your life with wisdom and laughter. I'll take you to Europe, Australia, all over America. I might take you to the peaks of Machu Picchu, the canals of Amsterdam, the Great Wall of China, or the swamps of Florida, and certainly the many, many comedy clubs and comedy theaters all over the world. Come hang out with me and meet the many interesting people that pop up in my life as I travel the world as a stand-up comedian.
You're listening to Tom Rhodes Radio.
Karate kick, baby.
Rock and roll.
Mickey D, ladies and gentlemen. Mickey D.
How you going?
How are you, my brother? So, first of all, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being a comedian from Adelaide?
Well, one of the advantages is when you come home, you're home. One of the disadvantages is, you got to go away a lot to be on the road. But when you're back. You're amongst your family, your peoples, and it's only from the city. It's like 5 miles to the ocean, and it's 5 miles to the trail. So I can be right next to a koala half an hour after being woke by my alarm clock, and that's pretty cool.
So you grew up like setting kangaroos on fire?
Well, look, once they've been
emus
skinned
with BB guns?
Yeah, well, look. I was more of a slingshot kid. I nearly killed a man.
You did?
I nearly killed a man.
So with a slingshot?
Yeah.
All right, this podcast is off to a great start. Attempted murder within the first minute.
Well, I was a scallywag. You can't dress down attempted murder, can you? I was 9. I was only going to juvie for 5 years. I'd come out with a trade. No, it was a homemade slingshot. I grew up in a pub. My dad, they were hoteliers. They weren't alcoholics. I wasn't in the car park. They owned a hotel, and it was an old country pub in the Adelaide Hills.
That seems to be, I see that everywhere. You see that in the neighborhood. I've traveled all over Australia, where you'll see a hotel, and then there's a pub on the first floor. So that's like... I guess that was like the first structures of Australia.
Yeah, so back in the day when there'll be a post office, there'll be a community hall, and there'll be the watering hole, the pub. And so it was a Victorian pub. So gorgeous old architecture, and we lived on the first floor, and we had this outhouse. It was a concrete block, so we had a beer garden outside the pub and an outhouse on the top. It was my little clubhouse. So I'd have my Mad magazines up there. I'd have, look, I was 11. We had one penthouse mag, and slingshots. And what we'd do is we'd take like little round tracer sinkers from a fishing tackle box, and we'd just ping cars.
Oh, those really hard lead things, yeah.
Like the Killer Man, right? So it kind of ricocheted off the road, and it's gone through the back driver side window and across and over the passenger's shoulder and cracked the front of the windscreen. So if it hit him behind the ear, that motherfucker's dead. But so we're talking about not even 4 inches away from killing a man.
So you got in trouble?
I got a thrashing that day. Yeah, I got a hell. That's the only time my dad's ever really... He'd always tweak my ear or smack me around the head. Man, it was the 80s. That was sport back then. You can't hit kids these days. But I copped a good thrashing for that. Like, across the back of the legs. And I sat in my room, and I will never forget it. I was watching Equestrian for some reason. It was on Channel 2. And to this day, I can't watch Equestrian because it takes me right back to that fucking thrashing he gave me.
Well, so that just the horses in general? Or
yeah, I can't watch it because I get a cold shiver. It reminds me of when my dad thrashed me for nearly killing a man.
My dad only hit me once, and that was it was my 16th birthday party. My parents made the tactical error of going out of town that weekend. And I threw the biggest party that my high school had ever seen.
Awesome.
And the cops came like 3 times, and tried to break it up, and my brother and somebody were wrestling in the hallway, and there was a big hole from my brother's ass print.
Oh,
Two
yes.
big football thugs wrestling, and
Great.
of course he was going to be there to like keep any trouble from happening, and then he caused all the trouble. So yeah.
So his ass went back through the plasterboard.
These two big football guys swinging their bodies around like sumo wrestlers. Yeah,
That's great, man.
So Adelaide, it's the churches of city. It's the city of churches,
Yeah.
right? It seems like a very charming place.
Yeah,
and
but you scratch the underbelly of that. Like, brother, please come over. I'll get you killed on a Wednesday.
well, that's what I was going.
Yeah.
I'm listening to your set. I'm watching your set last night, and there seems to be a crystal meth problem.
Man, it's rife, but that's the thing, because we're a city of 1.2 million. I think we're growing, and it's a very tech savvy, and it's we've got a lot of medical developments and studies going on there. And there's some military applications taking place. So the city's booming, and it's great. We're so glad to move back. But then there's some streets, on the weekend I wouldn't want to go down. Maybe because I'm aware of what's going on. Like in other times, like walking through Johannesburg, New York City, South London, maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I'm ignorant to the goings on. Because I'm just walking around a bit green, but at home I genuinely feel a little bit kind of fuck. This is edgy, So I nearly got I got punched in the head because I shot my mouth off to one of the triad dudes there one night.
What's triad, like a gang?
The triads, yeah. So I think they're either Vietnamese, Cambodian. Boys that have, all banded together, kind of a gang, and I said shit I used to say in high school to my Vietnamese classmates, "Dong ma mate," which basically, when you break it down and translate it, is like, "Hey, fuck your mum." Just a bit of fun, just a bit of fun in the classroom. So here I am, fast forward 7 years later, back private room of a club. We've had a few. Some chemicals in the mix. It's Wednesday. Fuck it. And all of a sudden, like I met this guy. He's a small guy. And I go, "Where you from, man?" See, that's one of my problems. Is when I used to drink, I get the kind of the whiskey guy's furrowed brow, and everyone looks like I'm snarling. It's like, no, I'm just trying to make.
I've seen that
sense.
on you.
You've seen that?
I've seen it.
And you go, "You're all right." I go, "What? Of course I'm fucking all right." And then because I don't know I'm coming in hot, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working through some shit. And this is my thinking head. It's just an unfortunate face to have." So I'm like, I often got into trouble in Adelaide because when most people ask in Australia, "Where are you from?" It comes from a I'm going to put you in a box type, well, not in a grave, but you're from somewhere else. I'm asking it in an accusational fashion. Whereas I'm lucky enough in our line of work, much like you, to travel a lot, and I'm fascinated to genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I'm asking, "Where are you from?" Because I've probably been there, or I know I've met people from where you're from. So I've gone, "Let's go, where you from?" He's gone, "Vietnam." And I'm going, "Oh, Dong Ma, mate." And it's like, "What are you doing, man?" He says, "You don't know me, right?" He said, "Why are you saying that shit?" I've gone, "No, is that bad?" I know in fair well what it was.
Nobody likes when you say you fucked their mom.
Doesn't matter where you're from, does it? It's still your mum, right?
I was in Texas. Some German guy heckled me, and I'd call you a cocksucker, but I know you're trying to quit. And the guy fucking jumps on stage and he goes, "That's offensive in my country." No, it's offensive in every country to call someone a cocksucker. Yeah. So it's offensive in every country to say, "I fucked your mom."
Sure is. Yeah. And then to play stupid like I did, I've gone, "What? Is that bad?" He goes, "Don't say that, man." And in hindsight, I can see it so clearly. He starts moving from around the other side of this outdoor table, just casually moving in my direction. I've gone, "What? Is that bad?" Don't my mate. What does it mean? I knew what it meant. I'm just trying to play dumb.
Right.
Going, tell me, what does it mean? It's like I'm officially baiting this guy, and the third time I've repeated it, he's already in range, and he's put this fucking fist of fury right into the side of my nose and cheekbone, just parked it in my eye socket. And he's given me the best black eye I've ever had in my life. Well, that's what I told everyone on the phone, because I was coming up on some fucking MDMA at the time. And I'm like ringing my mates in London, going, I've just upset this gang member, and I've got a black eye, and I was bleeding out my nose, because the people we were with at the time, they're all affiliates, because Adelaide is run by there's an outlaw biker scene. They kind of control all the movement, and they get on pretty well until unless some fucking little comedian upstart says something stupid in the beer garden, and then people are looking for a reason. So they whisk me out of this beer garden in Adelaide on a Wednesday and put me in a cab and take me to my buddy's house, where I'm none the wiser. And then a mutual friend of ours contacted and smoothed it over for us, and the word was from the main guy associated as the guy who punched me. He said, well, just tell your little funny friend that he's lucky my brother wasn't drunk, because he would have sliced me up on a Wednesday. So I'm lucky to get away with the fucking black eye. And it doesn't matter how good you are as a comic, you go on stage the next night with a black eye, you can't. People go, oh, he's a guy that's already been told.
Yeah.
You can't.
When I busted my head open a few years ago, you heard that story about why I stopped drinking. So it happened on January 1st, and then I had to do a show. Well, then there was a big snowstorm in Philadelphia. I actually had a reprieve for 24 hours. But then I had to go on stage, and I had a black eye, which I got in the fall, and I had these Frankenstein stitches. And I walked on stage, and I was like, did anyone else start the new year busting their head open? And, but it was interesting. Like, I flew to Amsterdam. There was some English guy on the plane who was being a dick, and he wanted to fight. I'm standing in line to get off the plane, and the guy's poking me with his suitcase. It was just a month after I had busted my head open, and I said, can you stop poking me with your bag, please? The guy goes, I'm not poking you, like a real fucking aggressive dick.
Oh man!
And so he's hitting me with his bag again, and I said, I go, you're poking me unnecessarily. And the guy said something like, kind of challenging, and I turned around and I had this black eye and these Frankenstein stitches, and then the guy I think he thought that I was like some kind of lunatic that I'll go all out in a fight or something.
This guy's got nothing to lose.
But I had fallen off of a bar stool. So
you're susceptible. If he approached you with the bar stool, that was your weakness.
So as a comedian in Australia, it's the thing seems to be, and it's not only Australia, it's Ireland and a lot of other countries where you get good as a comedian, and then you got to move to England, or a lot of people try to go that route. And you did that. How long did you live in England?
Yeah, on and off for 15 years. So I come back and do the festival circuit here in Australia, which is amazing. You can basically January through May, and then go on tour June, July with either the Melbourne Comedy Festival or the Sydney Comedy Festival Showcase. One has a road show, one has a showcase, and that tours. So and then next thing you know, it's the Edinburgh Festival. So I based myself out of the UK from 2002, and then back and forth for the festivals. But the majority of my time was spent there in the UK, and I think that
where were you living, in Birmingham?
Most recently Birmingham. But
okay, because your wife is from Birmingham.
Yeah.
And your wife is not only a wonderful human being, she's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. I know a lot of people look at me and my wife and think, man, you're way over your head there, buddy. So she obviously was the reason you moved to Birmingham. No one would do that as a career move.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. Strange you should say that, because some comics have moved there because of its central location.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you. We moved there and we're really happy there because we're close to Boo's family, and Boo could get down and do her gigs in London as well. And I could be up in Manchester in an hour and a half, London 2 hours, Liverpool 1 3/4 hours. So you're in striking distance. And here's the thing, I could get down, time it well, I could get down from Birmingham, 2 hour train to London for the same money it cost me to get across London.
Yeah, wow.
So I could still, and you know, it's like when you live in London, you might not see your best mate who lives on the other side of the city because it's just a beast. When, you know, you're in that London groove, you're out the house, you're in that kind of rat race mentality. It's like, okay, I've got to have my guard up because it's a fucking river of people. You want to get on the public transport, you can't drop your guards, like being in New York City, LA, Sydney, Melbourne's the same. The cities that will swallow you up. That's why I'm happy when I go home to Adelaide. It's like, all right, cool, I can kind of just not drop a guard, but I can just
life's a little easier.
Yeah, breathe out.
Yeah.
People call it a big country town, but it's got everything. I think it's great there. But yeah, London, when you're that city can spit you out. So I learned.
Did you have this problem? Like in England, the only they talk about Americans like they're dogs.
Yeah.
They call Americans septics.
Yeah.
As in septic tank where the shit goes.
Yeah.
And the only people they talk worse about than Americans is Australian people.
Mate.
I would say, like, whenever you're at a comedy show and they say, is there anybody from a different country or something? And someone goes, Australia. And it's always, they shit on them. Oh, shouldn't you be behind the bar?
Behind the bar,
convict, backpacker.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah, that's
gotta wear thin.
Yeah, so you're ready to shoot it back down. But I up the north, we're more. I personally felt I was better received up in the north of England, like because London's such a world city. You're not playing to Middle England.
Yeah,
there you're playing to an international audience or people that have come out and good on them. They've got that kind of. All right, fucker, this is what you do for a living. I've been under the grind all week. We put this comedy night in our diary a month ago. I didn't want to even come here 3 hours ago. Make me laugh, you piece of shit. It's what you do for a living, mate. Well, fucking go on in. I've got a mate in the office who's funnier than you can. And it's like, well, I don't mind that kind of gladiatorial type of pressure. Because in my mind, a true mark of a comic is, could you walk into someone else's space and, like, for example, a mechanic's workshop or a bakery floor. Could you walk into there and this is your art, your mastery, and could you bring it there? Could you be dropped out of a plane, even if you had to do it tandem, and land in a paddock and amuse the townsfolk?
Hey, could you guys stop working on that transmission for a minute? I'd like to run a couple of jokes past you.
What the fuck, mate? Yeah, you hear the clink, clink, clink of the shifter spanner. But it's London, really. Yeah, it was I guess healthy pressure because all the comics that wanted to push themselves as far as the Commonwealth countries go all come there, and a good proportion of North Americans. We throw the Canadians in. There's a greater concentration of Canadians because of the Commonwealth connection, but some more switched on and progressive Americans would want to come out to the UK and push themselves out there as well.
I know it's made me a better comedian, and it's the audiences can be pugilistic. I've said it many times before. When you get heckled in England, it's a lot of times not because they don't like you. It's just they just want to see if you're going to capitulate.
Yeah.
They're just seeing, And
I love that.
Hey, yeah, which is really, and you've always seemed to me that when I've watched you work, you always have a smirk on your face, and that you enjoy a little chaos.
Yeah, totally, man. Because it's something live, something real, something happened. You know, if I was to roll my same shtick all the time, I'd go a little bit. When it just becomes a stream of words, it stops being fun. You know, there's times I've gone, why isn't that bit not working anymore? So, well, it's not. It's just a list of words falling out my head. It's not there in the room with them. So there's nothing better to get you in the room than someone calling you out. Like one of the strangest but memorable heckles I had was in up the creek in Greenwich, just there in South London.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
Famous, right?
Yeah.
And this guy goes in the middle of my set. He goes, "You're not funny." Just like that. "You're not funny."
Wow.
And I'm like, I just paused. The room's like waiting. I've gone, "Yes, I am," and just carried on because I was having a good gig.
Yeah.
So I was like, "I am," and I just ploughed on and finished my set. You know, because I was like, well, "Fuck yeah." And then, and just I don't know. If
I always loved that gig.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
madness.
it was such a.
And oh, mate.
I had so many good times in that room.
You know, and it's because they call you out on it to see how you'd react, and they, in my opinion, they have every right. I think an audience has every right to challenge you. There's some comics that are purists and they bring a different edge to the art, and full respect to them, but they do not like being messed with. They have prepared something meticulous without any audience interaction, you know, catered for in there. They want to do their stuff and don't want to get from A to B and not be fucked with. Whereas I love a cat amongst the pigeons. I love someone that's going to fucking make my life a little bit tasty. Let's have it.
So what is the greatest thing you learned as a performer in England?
I learned that, yeah, you're only as good as your last gig, because you might be a champion one night, and then the next night you're in a complete, it might be in the same space, completely different audience, and you're back at square one, and then you're following a different comic every night, and it was just going home on the, just from complete elation to desolation. You'd rip up a room, you'd feel like $1 million, and then there you are on a night bus with your headphones on in a bubble again, and it's like hot and cold, and you're seeing some of the best comics in the world, your peers, just tear it up, and you're like going, I don't know why I bother turning up. Look, that's so being in that environment, that kind of pressure, just makes you. It's like, you know, if you're like playing in a good sports team, you go, I want to push myself, because that's the level.
Yeah.
That's the level you need to be at.
Yeah, you can never relax in this business.
Nah.
You know? Like, I watch specials all the time, and I just see people, you know, like, holy fuck, wow.
Yeah, you go, that's the yardstick.
Yeah. I just watched Roy Wood Jr.'s special.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. It's his Comedy Central special. And, like, his callbacks were brilliant. He's talking about, you know, being black in America and all these things, and I was just like, man, it was just the writing was excellent, you know. So it's great. You see people, you can never like think, oh, I got this figured out, and I'm going to coast for a while.
You're dead right. And one other thing I learned is one thing I see it's happening more and more often now, and in the past it's because people had other shows to go to. Like I know in the States. And in London, you might be doing 6 or 7 gigs that night because you're working stuff up, or there's that much work going around. But there's more and more often I'm seeing comics that do their shit and they just go home. Whereas I always made
they don't stick around and watch the other comedians,
you know,
right?
Or if you're on at the end or you're in the second half, you get there from the start and you watch the show unfold, so you know who's in the audience, you know who's already been tapped. You know, because nothing worse than an audience seeing the same fucking 2 people in the front row going, so what do you do again? They've gone,
yeah, right.
It's John. He's a fucking plumber. They've asked him, every comics, don't you guys fucking talk back there? It's like, well, not really. We've all got smartphones now. And we're all fucking just Instagramming the fucking, the sound desk.
So what is the most chaotic situation you found yourself in as a comedian?
Oh, man. It was my mum. I've told this story a lot, but it was insane. My mum in the audience at a late show at the Rhino Room in Adelaide, and she's heckling me.
Your mom?
My mum's heckling me. She's drunk out. And this is already after my auntie has been in my early show. So I did an early show. My auntie woke up 4 times in my show during the applause breaks. I'm bragging, I got 4 applause breaks. And that's in an hour, so it's not really a brag. It's substandard. But each time she woke up and she was clapping, like the applause breaks woke up. My mum and her were drunk. So she goes home. My mum, and I tell my mum off. I'm going, hey, what are you guys doing coming to town all drunk like this? I make my mum cry. And she goes to the bathroom.
What did you say to your mum?
I said, what are you fucking doing? I don't come to your work and fuck with you, do I? You know, you work hard. You work in the kitchen. I come and I'm nice to you at work. What are you doing to me? And she's crying. She goes to the toilet. Then the manager of the club comes up and goes, Mick, fuck man, your mum's vomiting out the front of the venue. I've gone, that's my auntie. My mum's crying in the toilet. So we set a bar high, right? And she's heckling me from the show, and I'm like, seriously, and she yells out, she goes, he's a dickhead. I named him after the cat. Like bizarre heckles.
What?
I'm like, yeah, I had a cat called Michael. And there's comics in the room looking at me, and I'm going, this is fucked. This is when my first chance I get to close the late show at the Rhino Room, and I got all my peers looking at me, and it's a full house, and everyone's going, Jesus. And I've gone, Mum, seriously, do I come to your work? We've already talked about this. Do I come to your work and fuck with you? And I'm not going to do the old faithful line. I don't come down the docks and kick the sailors' cocks out of your mouth.
Right.
Right? But because it's your mum. So look, she goes, yeah, you're always coming to my work and you're asking for a filet mignon. I've got, well, that's fine. It's a kitchen. You know, I don't. And then I stooped. I've gone, it's not like I come there and ask the sous chef for a hand job. Right, and it gets a laugh. She goes quiet. And 5 minutes later, the phone rings. And it's my fucking dad. My dad's ringing looking for my mum. And so I put my dad on the phone. And he goes, by the way, your auntie's here. And she's vomiting in the front yard. I've gone, well, she made it home then.
She had some left.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, man. So
she didn't empty it all out in front of the club?
And thankfully, and held onto it in the cab. So it's like all this is going on. And then like I pulled the pin. Like my mum says something else. I put her down. Gets a big laugh. I know that it's not going to be a conventional set. I'll need to get off with a big laugh. Got off stage. And I'm back in the green room. Back when people used to talk to each other in the green room. And I'm like, fuck, man, that was crazy. He goes, what happened? I start telling the story to my mum this and then my auntie. And then you hear the crowd roaring. The MC, Michael Chamberlain, has brought my mum on stage and she's doing stand-up.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, holy shit.
And she's killing.
She's killing. She's killing. And it's like, I named him after the cat. He's such a dickhead. He's got,
She had 5 applause breaks.
Yeah, 5. She's cooking, right? So she's in the audience. I go and sit in her chair and I start heckling her.
Oh, man.
Right? And then thankfully the MC comes out. Puts his hand over her shoulder and goes, that was great. And she grabs his hair and goes, oh, you're gorgeous. Starts doing crowd work on the MC. What's your name? And he goes, Michael. She goes, oh, I had a cat called Michael. Right? She calls back to her own shit. And she gets a standing ovation.
Wow.
And then fucking I go out and get ran out drunk with my mum and everyone. That's the gig. That's the gig they're all talking about at the festival. It was meant to be my first headline spot at the...
So your gigs got cancelled and then they offered her to fill them.
She got a tour, you know. I had to learn how to cook, you know. I had to iron my dad's shirts. Oh, man. So that's one of my favourites.
It was a tense Christmas that year.
It was. It's like, well, you know, I had to wrap all the presents. There's been other gigs. They're the ones that stand out, though. Those fun, those stupid ones, you know, where you go, what the fuck is happening? That was, it was cool. And knowing that all the other comics were in there as well, and they were laughing at the fact because it was they couldn't imagine it being their parents.
Yeah.
And good luck to them.
Well, Adelaide sounds like the most entertaining place in Australia.
Oh, it's incredible. Well, it's one of the best arts festivals
Vietnamese
in the world.
gangs, you got meth heads, you got moms that are stealing the thunder of their comedian sons.
Like, and that's not even on the weekend. See, this is Wednesday. We're only talking about Wednesdays and Thursdays so far. We haven't even got to the weekends. The beaches are beautiful. It's good food, clean living. But at the other side of it, I think they're spending $20 million on a brand new strip club. So
you got to have your priorities.
Those poles need to be shiny and tall because there's a whole new range of skill set in this era. I don't know. I guess one of our
$20 million on a strip club. You're serious?
It's a brand new fit out. The place is looking pretty slick. One of my wife and I, we produce shows at festivals, and one of our productions is a burlesque type variety show. My wife's in a female musical double act. You've worked with the girls before. So Boo and Nay head up this show, and so I've met a few of the burlesque troupe globally, and one of our buddies is coming back and she's got a residency at this new strip club. So for research purposes, I said to my wife, should we go and check out this new place? And I don't know if I got that one under the radar, but I haven't been to a strip club in years.
Yeah.
I remember going to one in Wellington, in New Zealand, and it was called Mermaids. And we went there 4 times before they used that tank. 4 times. Like I'm coming here to see a lady swim in the tank. But then you got to think, man, that there's got to be. You know how much time it takes to get a chlorinated pool right.
Yeah.
So.
An aquarium. Yeah. For strippers.
Now that's
got to be some sanitary challenge.
You know what I'm saying? You need a PhD in chemistry just to get that fucking tank ready. So it's
Well, what's the best? Now you're back in Australia, and do you think there's? Because it's interesting. I don't. You look. I always hate when people say you look like this or you look like that. I hate when people do it to me, so forgive me, I'm about to do it to you, but you have a mild similarity to Harvey Keitel. So, like a young Harvey Keitel.
Thank you.
And you have a very city toughness about you. So, in my, like watching you on stage, you you always got a smirk on your face, you're always in a good mood, but also you seem jovial and challenging at the same time, but also that you could you could handle yourself if some shit went down. So maybe that's the city toughness vibe. But so it's interesting that you're not actually from a big city, and it sounds like a charming place, other than the meth heads and the gang members.
We'd love to have you as soon as possible. Look, I was born in it's a small, friendly city. I was born at a beachside suburb, but travelled since. I'd like to. It's flattering. But if someone says to you, you got street smarts and you know how to handle yourself, and you go, "Oh, thanks," kind of negates that.
Yeah.
But
I grew up in Orlando, Florida, a little town outside of Orlando, which people make fun of Florida, and I've like yourself, I've traveled all over the world. I don't seem like your typical Florida person.
Because you travel and you come into, like I was saying before about sometimes maybe when I was in Johannesburg or Marrakesh, South London, New York, I've been conned in all of those cities. The street hustlers.
How did you get conned in Marrakesh?
Marrakesh, look, I paid a lot of money for some cashews.
Wow, $400. That seems like a lot of money.
I'm going to savor these motherfuckers. I'm going to make a milkshake out of it.
Do you have the halves and the pieces?
Yeah.
Maybe I can't afford the holes.
Yeah, come on. Let's. Are these all seconds? I bought a rug. I bought a rug. I didn't even have a house.
What a great sound. I paid a lot for cashews.
Oh, man. I used to say about Morocco, it's where you wanted these people there. That's like Premier League street hustlers. Those salesmen there are incredible. And they'll start by saying something like, see a Westerner, they might hear a twang in their accent or, hey, buddy, hearing each other talk to each other.
Right.
And all of a sudden this guy will go, you'd hear an American go, hamburger. Or you hear a British accent and they go, hey, fish and chips, which is fucking full on. I imagine that,
That's racist.
Yeah, some Arabic people walking down in Bondi and someone goes, hey, couscous.
Yeah, right.
That's,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So,
hey, falafel ball.
Yeah, falafel, come here. you walk like you want to buy a fucking carpet. So that's the stuff they're saying. Yeah, you look like you want to buy a carpet. I don't know how the fuck that looks. But next thing you know, I'm intrigued. I've gone, how's this guy going to hustle me? So next thing you know, bear in mind, like you, was on the road for, 10 plus years and I didn't have a place. What the fuck am I going to do with a carpet? So what made it better though is when I got on the plane, I saw another traveller, this American bloke, and he had his same kind of packed wrap thing because there's so many outs. You think there's so many outs, I can't carry it. No problem. We fold and we roll for you. You carry on. You fit in, carry. I've gone, you mean that big fucking rug? No problem. It will be carry on. So you can't do that. I won't be able to fit it in with my luggage. They've got that covered. They've got, I don't have any cash on me. No problem. We've got cards.
How about I don't believe in God and I don't pray?
Yeah, it's like, and I'm allergic to peppermint tea, you fuckers. I'm out of here. Like, everything they've got covered, man. It was fucking crazy. One guy, when I was in the Casbah, one of the souks, and the guy, he's gone, you come into my shop or I kill your wife. And I'm like, she's not my wife. I was with my girlfriend at the time, but what a fucking aggressive tactic to say, you come in here and buy something or I'm gonna off your missus.
Yeah.
So that was
Morocco, huh?
Morocco, and there's a guy who I was trying to haggle down a price on a polished wooden carved camel. I didn't want it. I just wanted to push down, see how many dirham I could get it for. Get it right down and And this guy, he was acting as like an agent for maybe a handful of shops. So he knew, I can get, what do you want? I'll help you find it. So he might be on a commission on 4 or 5 shops. And the only thing, he kind of looked like an Arabic Snoop Dogg. Just he had similar features to Snoop, not the hair, but the only thing that stopped me when he started yelling at me for not buying this wooden camel, I'm like, oh fuck, Snoop is very fucking angry at me right now. I think I saw the beginnings of the lion. Don't go there if you want to have a good holiday. You go to Morocco if you're looking for your new accountant, because they'll find money you never knew you had. Those guys are fucking.
I would love to go to Morocco. I've never been.
You love it, man. It's great food, balmy nights. One of my favourite things was the call to prayer. It's beautiful. 4 a.m, and all the different kind of sound systems attached to the mosques was slightly out of sync, which would make this beautiful echoing noise. And some of the speakers are all fucked and scratchy, so it's like this. It sounds like an electronic soundscape, and it's just beautiful. It just echoes through the morning sky. It's great.
There's been times where I've been haggling in a market in Asia, and the item that you're haggling over is only like 50 cents or $1.
Yeah, that's the principle.
And there always comes a point where I think to myself, I just feel like saying, why don't you just give it to me? Because it's like you're arguing over like 10, 20 cents.
Yeah. And they always get to that point where they say, look, I'm not making any money on this. I'm not, well, yeah. Okay, we'll buy the bullet.
In Hong Kong, the Kowloon night market, if you go to the end of the night market, there's these guys that'll sell shit on blankets. And I think the guys from Tibet, or they're Tibetan, and they sell these beautiful locks. And they're like really like heavy metal.
Yeah, great.
Really heavy. and they'll be like the Buddha, or like a turtle. They're these different. They're absolutely gorgeous, and the guy sells them for like $20. And I get one whenever I go. I've got like 4 of them. And like I've always like haggled the guy, like, trying to get him down to like 17, 18. And it's like I absolutely cherish these things.
Yeah.
If you come to my apartment, I got them lovingly displayed.
Right.
And they're just absolutely beautiful. And you can't buy more than one because they're so friggin' heavy in your luggage bringing them back. But yeah, haggling is...
It's a sport, isn't it? But then your missus looks at you like a piece of shit when you try and do it back at home. Like, we had an absolute great time together in Thailand, and we make a sport of getting it down. And I lost all privileges speaking for us because I got conned by a Punjabi fella. He called himself Mr. Yogi, and he goes, my friend, and I don't know how I've got a propensity of being pulled into alleys by miscreants. I've ended up there. He goes, I can guess the name of your wife. And I'm like, I already know the name of my wife. I don't need you to help me with that. But I gave him enough discourse that the guy's got me. And he goes, give me your favourite colour. And I'm like, I don't want to, like blue. And then he goes, but if I can guess her name, you'll pay me, yes? I'm like, yeah, all right. And somehow I end up giving this guy like 1,000 baht, which is nearly...
How did he guess your wife's name?
I don't know.
But he got it.
Yeah, he got it. It's Elizabeth. I'm like, fucking yes. And I'm like, and then I walk back onto the main drag on the Koh San Road, and my wife's gone, where were you? And I'm like, listen, Beth... I never call her Beth, let alone Elizabeth. It's Boo, right? And I've gone, look, you won't believe this. I nearly lost 2,000 baht then, because the guy was going to go double or nothing on another thing you could guess. She goes,
I saved us money, honey.
Yeah, I saved us money. Come on, we can get a rug.
I didn't fall for the second swindle.
Oh God! So I'm that guy. I'm the guy who's bought. I've bought hedge clippings off the street in London. So I might be street smart, but
for like you thinking you're getting weed.
Oh man, I bought cardboard in New York City. It's on my first night in the East Village, and I'm like down $200 US because I was expecting a lot more than cardboard. So for years I've been hustled and swindled, and so I've had to get my guard up. But and I'm reasonably handy. If shit kicked off, like if we're in a club after a gig and a punter wants to have a shot, I'm not very good at the start of a fight, but you want me in there for the middle. So I need a good couple of hits in the head first before I'm in the game. So
before you get really worked up.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa,
going.
whoa. And so I've accidentally looked hard before, right? Because again, it's that ignorance thing. When someone comes and says a buzzword to you or something that in their kind of culture or where they're from, like I had a guy in Manchester once he called me a shithouse. Not you are shithouse, you are a shithouse. You fucking cheeky shithouse. He called me a shithouse, and I'm like, I just laughed in his face, like, because he's essentially just called me a toilet. And I'm like, he was expecting me to back down, but I just looked at his face and laughed because it was amusing. So he must have thought I was some kind of tough motherfucker, but it's essentially I'm just laughing at a toilet joke. So I'll need a good couple of hits in the head. Or when a big scary Northern Irish guy or a Glaswegian starts giving out, you see, you fucking piece of shit. Fucking one more time, and I'm just laughing because to me that's an experience. I'm watching a sketch. I'm not watching a guy who's about to stab me. I'm accidentally laughing at someone because this is better than television.
Yeah, crazy people are free entertainment.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, it's so that's. But having said that, someone could say something really cold to me in my home city, and that's when I'd panic and I'd know, all right, yeah, this is gonna get ugly real quick.
So I just figured out the really insulting thing to you in Adelaide wouldn't be someone saying, I fucked your mom. It would be, your mom's funnier than you.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's like, hey, I saw your mum that Thursday night. You know, I'm trying to fly them. They've got, I'm only coming if your mum's on.
Are you sure you don't want to fuck her?
Yeah,
I would feel a lot better.
Yeah, come on. That's how it went to work. But it's something that would hurt more than being called a piece of shit, a loser, an asshole, a jerk, whatever. In where I come from is, because I come from a sporting background, like the worst thing you could say about someone in my club or about another clubman was like, bad bloke. You're just a bad bloke. That's like insulting someone to the core. That's your core value, is you'll be a good bloke, and that
right.
That encompasses being dignified, respectful, self-aware.
He's a bad dude. That's what he used to say in Florida in the 80s.
You're really bad, dude.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, and that's not a
nothing
cool
good
thing.
about it.
Yeah, right. So and then you take it up a notch where I'm from. If you're a bad bloke, and if that bad bloke's done something reprehensible, he's like, you're a fucking dog of a bloke. So you're an absolute fucking dog, and that's like you're cut off. You're persona non grata. That's you're a fucking dog of a bloke, or you're a fucking rat. He's ratted on you. This dog's fucking ratted on you. He's definitely a bad bloke.
So these are like fighting words in Australia.
Yeah.
So what are other words or sentences that could get your ass beat in Australia?
So like,
I never liked Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, that's like, I'm glad the dingo ate her baby. All of that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's like I kind of talked about it recently on stage. Like you can kind of say anything. People hear trigger words. Like even if it's a well-constructed joke about our fallen soldiers, and no, I'd never make light of those who pay the ultimate price. Is how I say it.
I heard you doing that bit last night about Anzac.
Yeah, the Anzacs. So the Aussies like hear Anzac and immediately they've gone, hang on, a funny guy talking about the Anzacs, which is fun, no, because it's not a fucking funny thing.
Yeah.
And then so they'll just hear a trigger word, and but if you've done your research, it should be fine. So that often will get people riled up. Or if you say something about sports heroes or national icons, like Olivia Newton-John, she's she's aged pretty well, to be honest.
Oh, she looks great.
But yeah,
everybody loved her.
We're pretty easygoing as a whole, but then you get people. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plebiscite goes, with people talking about it's fact we're so fucking backwards out here in Australia. Like Australians have only it's only the 60s was passed. There's a thing called the Flora and Fauna Act, when that kind of put our indigenous people in the same kind of basket as they're considered flora and fauna, not people.
Like plant life.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you shot someone, you're effectively doing some pruning. That's how it could be argued. I'm not trying to make light of it, but I see. Backward. And then we had a white Australia policy. Like, a lot of South Africans were getting heat for apartheid, but we're not that much nicer or cleaner than what went on in South Africa. Everyone's got that opinion. Australians, no worries. But there's a fair undercurrent of fucking ignorance out here, and it's like, stop the boats, mate. That's being a big thing. Like, I've come back here and seen, governments trying to push fear onto us. I think that's a global phenomenon. But
Australia's let a few boats full of dark-skinned immigrants burn to death off the coasts, right?
Yeah.
Rather than admit them to the country.
It's like, come on, guys, we've got a fair bit of room, we could, and a lot of them come from the desert. We've got a fair bit of that for them.
Right. Let them spruce up Alice Springs.
Yeah, come on, it needs some. They've always welcomed diversity up there.
But it's cute, like you guys are about to vote on gay marriage.
Yeah.
I thought all the civilized countries decided that years ago.
Fuck, it's crazy, and they're saying stupid shit like, if what's the thing, if soon, what next? We start we give, same-sex couples the right to marry, and next thing you know, there's, pedophilia, and then there's bestiality. Look, man, people have been fucking dogs for forever.
Well, they had all the same arguments were presented in the United States when gay marriage was being decided a few years ago. And my mom and my family are all hardcore Republicans and super Christians. And
super Christians.
My mom has been divorced for 30 years.
Yep.
Her dog died last year, but unfortunately, but her little dog Pepper was her life.
Yeah, right.
She absolutely loved this dog. So I was talking to my mom about gay marriage when the vote was coming, and I was trying to enlighten her, and I said, Mom, I know a lot of conservative people are throwing around ridiculous arguments like, what's next? If we allow gay marriage, then someone's going to be able to marry their dog. And my mom goes, I'd marry my dog.
Oh,
so
they're gorgeous.
Because she loved the dog so much.
Yeah, so there's hope.
It was really beautiful. Hey, and I got to tell you, I had a joke years ago, like 12 years ago when I was in Australia. I did about the Anzac. People don't they have no sense of humor about. You can't make any jokes about the soldiers.
Yeah,
and so Anzac Day. You celebrate or you recognize and remember the battle at Gallipoli, right?
True. That's it.
And that's when these English generals were up on the mountains, and they sent these guys to an unwinnable beach. They landed on the worst part of that beach.
Yep. And
they got slaughtered. So on Anzac Day, people in Australia celebrate with Anzac cookies, and Anzac cookies they're a recreation of the cookies during wartime when people were rationing sugar and flour and things like that. So they're like very dry oats.
That's it.
The cereal, the cookie.
Yeah. So
I did this joke about, about Anzac Day, that these brave soldiers should be remembered and honored. They landed on the worst part of that beach and got slaughtered. So why do Australians celebrate that event with the driest, shittiest cookies imaginable? Don't these boys deserve some chocolate chips?
Yes.
A squirt of caramel, goddammit, lives were lost. And like some girl that worked at the comedy store, she told me her dad had seen me do that on television and told her, you tell Tom Rhodes, I think he's really funny, but tell him to stay away from Anzac jokes.
It's like it's a joke about biscuits.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I mean, hey, honestly, what they went through at that event, they deserve some coconut
cream
sprinkles,
filling,
something on it.
Fuck, that's great. And isn't it funny? It's about he thinks he's prefaced it with, look, he's funny, but you tell him to
stay away from that one topic.
Yeah.
So everybody's got one topic that they don't
so it's
find
definitely
funny.
not the and is another thing because of our country's relationship with how the Indigenous have been treated and recognised, or lack of recognition, and the ongoing kind of inequities there, and it's you even say the word Indigenous or Aboriginal or any, you can feel the air sucked out of the room, because there's this kind of national guilt, or this PC type, this fear in the audience that goes, oh fucking no, make it good, make it, just don't comment on it. So the country needs a lot more healing before we can touch on race relations in the same way the Brits and the Americans and the Canucks can talk about, or even the way the Kiwis can joke about their relations with the Indigenous there. So here it's there's still
sorry listener. Well, that's the advantage that the New Zealand Kiwis have over Australians, is they have a better relationship with their Indigenous people.
Yeah, much better.
And they honor them properly, and everything about the Maori is is embedded into their national identity.
Yeah.
And I know something just happened here with Australia Day.
Yeah, that's unfolding as we speak. Yeah.
So I saw in the news like some white politicians trying to give some earnest, sincere, about speeches about the indigenous people and should be honored, and it just sounds like cold ice cubes falling out of their mouth.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So what are they trying to decide?
Well, essentially, like the way Australia Day has been lauded, and historically, it essentially can also be perceived as Invasion Day. So we celebrate a day just blindly unaware that also represents the day that we kind of just went, right, this is ours. No recognition to the 50,000 years of culture and mythology and spirituality that our indigenous people are all about, and we've gone, nah, this is ours. And so I think what we're trying to do as part of the healing processes here in Australia is disband that day. Can be any other day. Let's clear the slate, start again. So some councils are actually considering and changing the day, and there's discussions about it. But yeah, still, like you're saying, it's cold ice, marbles falling out of mouths of people trying to begrudgingly push it across. But I think the greater majority of people are going, well, yeah, it's just a day. We don't have to hold on to this false sense of national pride when it's actually destructive and unawares and hurtful towards our true forefathers. This land's incredible.
Did you ever read The Fatal Shore by Robert Hughes?
No, I should do.
It's it's about the epic founding of Australia.
Yeah.
And the first ships that came over, and the Aboriginal people could not have been more loving and giving. They actually would offer women for them to have sex with. And can we get you some kangaroo meat? And they were just because other indigenous people, when white Europeans landed, they cut their heads off and shot arrows at them. But the Aboriginals were so loving and giving.
Oh man!
And then it's funny they were afraid to eat anything, the English people, and so they're fighting over rotted, salted meat that's in the bottom of these barrels that had maggots over it, rather than try the delicious kangaroo meat that now sells for top dollar at every supermarket in Australia.
God,
it's really, really, really great book. Yeah, one of my favorites.
That's wonderful.
So, what other knowledge nuggets can you give me about Australia? What should people know?
What should people know? Okay, if you're ever bushwalking,
did you know
that the koala? Koala is actually the word koala is derived from an indigenous term that means no water. So the koala drinks very little. It takes all its nutrients from eucalyptus leaves.
And when it eats eucalyptus leaves, it's actually getting high.
High as fuck.
When people smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends who are koalas.
Yeah, they've got red eyes and they're full of... The other I don't know if it's a myth, it might be a knowledge nugget. You look up this yourself, listener, is you'll find that they're full of chlamydia.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that.
Koalas.
Yeah.
Man, and here's the other thing. If you're ever hiking in Australia early morning, or if you've got the trail out to yourself, this has happened to me when I've been training out on the trails. I'm a good 10 miles into a run. I've found some peace. I'm in a flow state. And then all of a sudden you hear this...
Maybe.
This deep, guttural, demonic fucking noise coming from... high in the tree, like if you're in a gully, it feels like you're being flanked by a demon. It's their noises. Koalas do not sound like they look. They look so cute, but they sound like a fucking leaf blower that's been possessed.
Or me when I've had too many nicotine lozenges. That's me when I clear my throat. It's because I was doing too many nicotine lozenges. I did a joke about that years ago about because when I was a little kid, I had a koala teddy bear.
Yeah, right.
And I could not sleep without my koala teddy bear. I would cry.
Was it
and
one
I'd
of
cry.
those stiff ones?
No. It was a really soft one.
Right,
it was a really soft one.
I'm trying to think of the era.
I mean, this is like late 70s.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
probably mid 70s. I was a real little kid.
Yeah.
And I adored my little koala bear. And so I went to a koala nature preserve and in Australia my first time I came here, and the zoologist told me that koalas are promiscuous beings.
Yeah.
They have many different sexual partners, and that they actually get syphilis like humans. And I had no idea what a dirty little slut I was sleeping with.
All these years.
It foretold a future pattern to come.
Oh man.
But that's great. And then the one of the I actually did a knowledge nugget about kangaroo.
Yeah.
Which is that true about the British come and they're asking the Aboriginal, what do you call that? What do you call that? And they're pointing at the kangaroos, and apparently in Aboriginal, kangaroo means what did you say?
Oh right.
Or it's something like that.
Because there's a couple of I don't know if that's.
Or it means I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Kangaroo, don't know.
I don't know.
That's nice.
Kangaroos, I don't know.
There's a similar thing happened in Ballarat. Now, Ballarat's gorgeous mining town in central Victoria, and there's a lake there, and the lake is known as Lake Wendouree. And when white man come up there and met the original owners, the tribes folk up there, they've gone, my friend, what is this lake called? And they've said Wendouree, and Wendouree in the local talk is basically go away. So this lake's called Lake Fuck Off.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, white guy. Wendouree means go away. So Lake Fuck Off. Always have fun reminding him it's called Lake Fuck Off.
That's great. Are these the knowledge nuggets you prepared?
I've got another one. Did you know this one?
Because I love it. You cheer on my knowledge nuggets.
I love it.
Which is great.
Did you know that billiards is the number one indoor game in the Himalayas?
Billions?
No, billiards.
Billiards.
Yeah, billiards.
Yeah.
Mate, it's incredible. Like, I trekked 9 days from where we were in Lukla, which is Google Lukla. It's the world's most dangerous or crazy ass airport. It's on like a 30.
How do you spell Lukla?
Lukla. Lukla, yeah.
Okay.
Lukla in Nepal, and it's on a 30-degree angle. This runway, and you land on an incline, and you basically roll down off a cliff to turn through the mountains up there. It's about you're already about 2,500 meters above sea level when you land. So we trekked 9 days to Everest Base Camp, and on this trek, saw countless times these strong as fuck Nepalese porters. Like they had like this wooden walking stick for balance, and they had this head strap, and they were carrying over, I'd say, these slates, these slats of slate
For the billiards
table. They were carrying them up to altitude because all these, all the traffic up there have these inns and places for tourists and trekkers, and all the traffic there through, all the porters and the other locals, they love playing billiards. Wow. So they actually take, does it have to be a genuine table? You could have fucking particle board up there, but these guys wanted to do it properly. So I saw heaps and heaps of people carrying up slate on this single track.
Wow. Well, and that, I'm glad, thank you for the segue, because that is the climax of this conversation that I wanted to build up to.
Oh, right.
Is you are the only person I have ever met, probably the only comedian, who climbed Mount Everest. So what made you decide to do this?
Well, I won't take all the credit. I was one of 4 comics to do this trek, and I'd also like to take the I would also like to take the praise of saying I actually climbed Everest. I got to base camp. So I went to 5,365.
So you didn't get up to the top?
No, I was only 3 kilometers shorter.
Okay.
So the top is 8,858 meters.
Did you see that movie that came out last year?
Jesus Christ.
And they're like, there's dead bodies everywhere.
We worked our asses off.
The fucking teacher.
Yeah.
He went once like 10 years before and he didn't make it. And then the bad storm's coming in.
Yeah.
And they got to get the teacher up. The whole school is like, they're all wearing ribbons. And so the fact that he got the teacher up so he could make it to the top is why everybody died, because then the storm came in and killed them all.
God, that'd be... Imagine your first lesson back. the guilt in front of the class. Man, it's such a brutal journey. That like, people get to base camp, and it's a 2-month process of acclimatizing, staying fit while you're up there, and getting used to the altitude. But you're in a holding pattern at base camp because there's only a small window where the Gulf Stream, which is up there, so it's nearly 9 kilometers above sea level. This is, you're piercing the stratosphere, more or less. And so there's anything between 180 kilometers to 200 kilometer winds whipping up there. And there's a couple of times a year where that Gulf Stream just shifts, maybe about 400 meters, less than a kilometer off the top there. So you've got so it's not blowing fuck off gale up the top there. So you've got this little go window, and that's even taking away the fact that there's 3 camps above where you set off from. So base camp, you've got camp 1, 2, and 3, and the first section is fucking horrible. And I was watching these guys who train on ice picks and on these, you saw in the film how they lashed the ladders together.
Yeah.
It's just terrifying. I got there and I met these guys and girls, and they're a different breed of people. You've seen that. They've got that intensity in their eyes, and, they're on a mission, and, people work 2 years to get the fitness up just to go there to base camp and to be in a holding pattern. And then you get your window to go. You still might not make it to the top because the weather might change. You might die. That's another big one. But then there's the costs as well. You're leaving your family behind. Or you might not make it back. Was a 1 in 8 chance you might not make it. You might have to check the stats on that, but it's not great. It's not assured. And here's the other thing: have you got $100,000 US for the premium package? Premium package will get you, it's all your meals, all your transfers. You get your, it's not luxury accommodation there. You're in a tent. We're more in a barrack, like a thick canvas barrack, like you would if you're a GI or something. Imagine that.
But you can do it like Mr. Howell instead of the skipper and Gilligan.
Yeah, true. There is that package. And all of a sudden, and here's the thing, the Sherpa, and then the high-end package there determines on how much oxygen you take. So the bottom-end package, you might, you're on 20% oxygen up there. So you've 20%, because it's 20% of the time you can be hoofing your oxygen because it drops out. And the death zone there, that isn't a clever nickname, people fucking just die because the oxygen is so thin. So there's the fat cat package, as I call it, is like, you might get a CEO that a Sherpa fucking drags this guy up there and is just fucking tweaking his oxygen, and you can get up and out there. But still, you have to have some nous about you because there's Hillary Step, which has changed recently. There's been another landslide up there, so that's all changed. The approach is forever changing because there's avalanches and there's fucking cracks opening up. Fuck doing that, So I got to base camp, met these people who are just incredible, and here's the other thing: there's a traffic jam there because 2 years in a row, these fuckers who've invested everything mentally, financially, physically to get there have been told, sorry, can't go up. There's an avalanche that killed a lot of people that you were camping next to.
So who's up there deciding? Is there like a traffic cop who, sorry, you guys, stop.
Not today, 100 grand man.
Yeah.
So there's some, this is kind of chilling. There's there's a lot of older Sherpa fellas, and guys that will probably have summited, a dozen times. And what are they called? They're called ice doctors, and it's on the back of their high visibility kind of vest, so you can see them. So you see them going up, and they check all the ropes, they check all the lashing, they check all the path, which is forever changing, and then they'll come back and I'll give a status. And then there's people at different angles and different camps, because you can't even see the summit from base camp because it's tucked in behind. It's about 4Ks distance wise and 3Ks up, or something similar, but you can't see it. It's fucking away and up and fucking huge. So you've got guys that are radio contacts going, okay, you've got a clear opening here, you got to go for it now, or the weather's changing. No, too dangerous. But the traffic jam is you've got 2 years of people that never got up there because there was an avalanche, and they've been given their grant to something like 10,000 US to get a permit just to enter the park to climb. So they've priced it out so not every prick's doing it. But it's dangerous, man.
Well, it sounds dangerous. And also from what I've read, it sounds like there's a lot of garbage up there.
Yeah.
That people have left behind. So did you see Pepsi cans and...
Yeah, it's pretty messy. And that's the other thing, because it's...
potato chip bags floating around.
Mate, and there's an industry of, just the strongest, most, kind and gentle Sherpa folk that haul shit back down off the mountain, because people set up a tent, which is a shitter, which it always reminds me of Randy Quaid going, "Shitter's full," right? You shit down into a hole, and they put the lid on, and this guy puts this plastic drum of kind of drum that Jesse and Heisenberg would melt someone in, one of those plastic numbers full of shit, and they carry that back down the mountain.
Wow. Because
if you can't drink out of some of the streams because they're full of parasites and little shit bugs. So that's the other thing. You got to... Water gets more expensive the higher you go up because it's more of a premium.
There's a little water stand.
Yeah, so you want to pay. You have to drink. They say no.
It's $100 for a little.
Well, it is the elixir of life. So it's but what blew me away is I had 2G signal all the way up there, more or less to about. It'd come in and out up there at base camp, but I had on my normal cell phone, on my iPhone, I think I had a 6S up there, and I was getting 2G signal all the way up to about 5,500 meters.
Well, that was the coolest thing for me as your friend, because you were posting videos, you were live streaming on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I would see, I'd go on Facebook and see Mickey D live or whatever the video.
Yeah.
And so I would click it, and I could watch you live up there.
Man. It was
so fantastic to. There was for a week you were live streaming on Facebook, and wherever I was, I forget, but I was really exciting to watch your progress.
Oh, thanks, man.
Go up Everest, because it's something I would never do.
Well, it's easy done, It's the
I've been to Machu
itself.
Picchu. I went up
Mate,
there.
well, then you've.
But that's not. I was worried about the altitude. It wasn't a problem, and I was smoking cigarettes back then.
You'd be fine getting up to base camp. There's so many the Japanese people culturally.
I can't afford the water and the.
Mate, you want to invest in your water early. Just go, no, I hydrated like a motherfucker all week. I'm gonna see this out to a prune. But there's I saw a group of Japanese trekkers, and they're all in their 70s. They go up there just fine, and people going, do you need heaps of technical gear? I've gone, well, not really. I was in my trail running shoes to get up there, and they actually gave me more freedom than my hiking boots, because you could, your ankles are moving around so much because you're switching back and you're going up different kind of rocks. I have more freedom in my trail shoes. The river crossings are awesome. You're on those crazy suspension bridges. It's just incredible. So to then be able to, I'll put some up on my Facebook page, Mick Dwyer. It's not Mickey D, because it's to American listeners out there. It's that's the big multinational. I only found out that Mickey D, it's my nickname, a cricket club.
Yeah, that's a nickname people gave McDonald's.
Yeah, so it's like,
they can't fucking franchise that or trademark that.
Well, I can't get MickeyD.com. They wanted 10 grand for it.
Really?
Yeah. It was something stupid. So anyway, I'll put the videos. I'll repost them on Mick Dwyer, comedian, on Facebook. But there's one
DWYER.
That's me. And there's a moment where I'm just blown away by just how minuscule we all are. When you get out there, raw nature, like the ocean terrifies me. Like that's a leveler. Like when you're out in the middle of an ocean and you just see a swell, and like I can't imagine being in like a small sailboat or a fucking a castaway type rescue boat in a big sea, because it just I'd fucking melt down, because it's just, you'd have to submit. And you see the mountains, it's the same. It's like that's Lord. I don't know, if there's a higher being or some people that, super Jesus people, or, but it's undeniable that we are part of something that's way bigger. And that will swallow you up and spit you out quicker than any big city.
Is that the revelation that you got up there?
Yeah, completely. It's like, right, this is, look at that, and we were so blessed that there were no clouds, and the weather was stunning. Still, when we were out of the reach of the sun's rays, it was fucking cold, but while the sun was radiating on us, it was beautiful. A couple of days I was up there in shorts and a shirt, because we're working pretty hard. Then it snowed overnight, so it completely changed the landscape. It was incredible. And we get up there and we walk alongside a glacier for 4 kilometers. And I've never seen a glacier. Next thing you know, it's right there, and it's a mixture of gravel and ice and little ponds. And they're saying because it's floating permafrost underneath that big wedge. Just imagine it as like a V. Underneath that's the water's kind of melted under there as a stream. So there's a vacuum in there. So you're saying you don't, even if you were stupid enough to dip in those ponds in the freezing water, don't, because you get sucked down into a network of cracks and tunnels.
Wow.
So what I heard when I talked to one of the mountaineers, man, this blew me away. The avalanche came down. They're all at base camp. So it's this big horseshoe. They call it the amphitheater. 8 of the world's tallest mountains right there. You're surrounded. So they heard this rumbling, and they looked up and they see there's gravel and there's dust just careering towards them. And they're like, we're fucking gone. So what happened when the weight of this avalanche and the debris pushed down on the permafrost, which is the glacier, there's a bit of give because underneath there's some water. That pushed down the water and come up through the cracks and created this kind of geyser, this pressure that just pushed out through all the cracks. They found a guy 400 meters away from his tent. This guy was shot out of his accommodation and found 400 meters away. And this
is while you were there?
No, there's a guy who was there telling me, like, he goes, I'm back here. I couldn't go last year because this happened, and he tells me the story, and I'm gripped. He's going, so he was shot out of his tent. This Englishman, no shit, his name was Jules, last name, Mountain. I'm going, fuck off. Like, he was like, in another era, he would have been a knight of the realm, like this proper chiseled British guy. Like he spoke like a knight. He was the epitome of a knight of the realm. So I'm just gripped listening to this guy. He goes, he was shot 400 meters out of his tent. And I'm like, this. And then he goes, oh, he died. Okay. So there's just raw power up there, undeniable. And then just to see the streams melting and, and just people are up there to achieve something, which is, and this is what got me. It's like, because we're always striving for something. And there's that thing, what is your Everest?
Right.
People say that, what is your Everest? So these fuckers get there they get their Everest, but they die on the way back down because they haven't thought of what's next. Because the hardest bit is when you're getting back down, they switch off. They think, I might sit down for 5 minutes for the rest of my life. You know, so a lot of these people, you know, the game doesn't stop once you've achieved this thing. And what I found chilling was when our guide, we asked him about it. So you've summited, what was it like? And he's like, it's kind of a little bit, blasé about it. And then as we got it out of him, we found out that one of the 7 he went up with died, and they passed him on the way back down. So there's so it took
bittersweet victory.
And then on top of that, he was kind of at a loss of what's next. You know, I've done that. What's my purpose? What's my goal? It's left a void.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Alexander wept. I forget, Alexander the Great, after whatever victory, he had conquered everything. And then he cried because there was nothing left to conquer.
Yeah. So
there must be some kind of feeling like that. So, I remember when I went to Peru, I went to Amintani Island on Lake Titicaca, and it was so stunning and beautiful. And we stayed with indigenous families, and then they did their sacred Pachamama ceremony, which is the Pachamama's Mother Earth, and everything is about their god is nature, Mother Earth, and they did their most sacred ceremony. And I remember thinking to myself, I'll never be sad again. How could I ever be worried about the things that I get caught up worrying about in life? And, I don't have enough bookings, and I haven't written enough new jokes this month, or whatever my worldly worries are. I'm thinking I've experienced this sacred moment with these people who are so in tune with the earth and nature, and a tradition and mysticism that's connected to thousands of years of human history. And then right when you get back to the real civilized world, you find yourself in traffic, and you're like, you fucking dick, cut me off, motherfucker. And it's like, there's this 3 minutes where you're like, oh my God, I feel spiritually cleansed because I've come to this far remote place on the earth, and I've experienced enlightenment.
Totally. Yeah, it's that kind of...
So that's you experienced that magic feeling.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that clarity, that comparison. So yeah, of course I still have moments in traffic.
What do I have to worry about?
Yeah, this is what it's all about. Just having that stillness and realizing that there's so much more going on, but at the same time it just is. But at the same time, I go back home and I'm giving out in traffic. I'm fucking cussing and fucking...
I've climbed Everest. Get out of my way.
Yeah, and my mum yells out. She goes, "No, you only went to base camp." Like, fuck you, lady.
Your mom's opening the show tonight.
Fantastic.
No, I'm kidding. And Mount Everest is what the white people call it. It's actually called something else, right?
Yeah, I can't. Oh God, it
like white English people called it Mount Everest, and
and the Sherpa folk, I can't remember. Oh fuck, that's killing me. But this is cool. Our lead guide from Kathmandu. Well, he's from, I can't remember what village he's from, but he's Sherpa born, and now he runs a company out of Kathmandu. Galjen has summited 3 times. I met his brother who's summited 11. Galjen's a family man now. He's got 2 children, a lovely wife, and he said he summited 3 times. On the 3rd time, he came off the mountain just in sync with the Tenzing Hillary Marathon, which starts at Gorak Shep, which is just the nearest village from base camp, 4 kilometers down the glacier, and it runs to Namche Bazaar. So it's 42.2 kilometers. It's an official marathon. You can check it, the Tenzing Hillary Marathon, and it runs down elevation shift of you probably drop 2,500 meters in that time, but it doesn't make it easy. It's technical, and so he's just come off Mount Everest, and he's thought, oh fuck it, I don't want to hang around for 3 days. I want to get back to Namche, which is kind of like the mountain capital, if you will. There's more to do there. It's a pretty rocking town, to be honest. And he just trucks off down the hill, runs a marathon. Absolute machine. The Sherpa people have, people have saying that they're the most recent, one of the most recent examples of evolution, in the sense that their calves and their legs have more capillaries through them, because they've actually advanced because their usage and where they're from. So there's studies undertaken on some of these folk, which is incredible. And I also learned that it's poor form to say he's my Sherpa. I had a Sherpa. No, you have a guide. That these people, they're not your person. They're of the Sherpa people, but they're not your person. It's this is my Sherpa. Like, you don't own them,
right? As
a person, mate. And it's like people up there going, yeah, so my Sherpa. It's like saying my boy,
right?
My staff. It's like, no, it's your guide, and he's the most peaceful yet powerful person you've probably ever met. Show some fucking respect.
Amen, brother. Okay, my most important question I have for you. You climbed Mount Everest, well, to base camp anyway.
Yeah.
And you put all this effort, you trained, it cost you somewhat financially to get there and make the investment. And one of the, it's a pretty big human accomplishment to go there and climb it. And it's something that people dream of. So my question is, did you get a joke out of it?
Look, I kind of no, and that hurts. I've got nothing, baby. I get up there and
there's nothing funny about it.
There's nothing funny about. Oh man, it's a whole nother story. But I'm an ultra trail runner, so I run ultra marathons. So I thought this is going to be the greatest opportunity, not only to meet and work with another culture, experience the Himalayas, get to base camp, meet some incredible people. I was also signing off on this is free altitude training. So I got a 14-day block at altitude training. I'm going to come back home and relative type altitude shift. It's only 400 meters above sea level, our highest trail where I'm from. The Adelaide Hills, I'm going to crush it. So I've come back and it's the State Trail Championships. The morning after I arrive home. My flight gets delayed, so I get in at 10 p.m. The race starts at 8 a.m. I get through customs in my wife's arms at 11:30. I remind her that I'm running the next day. I've already been away from the kids for nearly 21 days. We argue to 3 a.m, rightly so. I throw the hands up in the air and I go, well, I won't do the trail championships then. And she goes, I never play that card. Well, I won't do it. She goes, do it. So I've lined up. And the thing is, I went out with the lead pack, but something wasn't right, Tom. I was like, I felt sluggish. I thought, this is bullshit. I'm meant to be full of red blood cells here. I've got the edge. These legs have been taking me up, elevation shift. I tracked it. I shifted about 6,000 meters in that time, with the ups and downs. So I'm fit. What's wrong? What was wrong is I still had a lot of temazepam in my system, because the expedition doctor said, eat these, you'll be able to rest on the flight, you'll be fine. I did rest on the flight, but I hadn't hydrated and everything was too relaxed. So I get 5 kilometers in, usually a point where my body starts to loosen up. I'm warm. I'm keeping up with the lead pack. I'm feeling strong, but I'm heavy, and that's the usual part on a normal run where the bow will lengthen itself out and I'll pass a bit of gas. But I felt some cramps. 5 kilometers into this run of a 25k trail championship race, I've pulled the side of the course and I've shat my pants.
Wow. That's funny.
So that's but look,
There's your joke.
there's my joke. But look, it took me. Look, I'm looking at the clock. That took me 3 minutes to get to. I shat my pants. I wanted a gag. I didn't want to.
Right.
So.
Well, it sounds like maybe you could have had a heart attack or something serious.
Well, yeah, I was too relaxed. But that's the thing. I'm very competitive. And thankfully a lot of trail runners, wise experience. They've lived. One of the older. Well-known trail runners, Kim Williams, come up to me. Everyone else has gone, oh, poor fucker, you've done a hamstring. And Kim knew. He sort of looked at my eyes. He's gone, you haven't, have you? And I went, yeah. So he had some toilet paper on him. There's a guy who knows.
Well.
So I cleaned myself up, and the problem is, I then had to run past half of the field to make up my time.
And it's in your small town where everybody knows you.
Yeah. And it's like, not only is his mum funnier than him, this guy just shat his pants. Fuck me, man.
That's great.
So, no, that's the other thing. A lot of people ask me, did you come back with something funny from there? I've gone, no, that one was that was for me up there. I took a lot of...
Just for you as a human.
Yeah, just a lot of peace, a lot of wisdom, a lot of clarity up there. And I'm lucky that, and you're right, it did cost, we raised a lot of money for charity, but as far as financially goes, my wife supported me by stepping off a lot of work for a good month of gigs that I had to say no thanks because this opportunity come up. So it was beautiful. But it was,
well,
definitely go again.
You're going to do it again?
Yeah, do it again.
Wow.
I'm going to take my wife and my kids, and I'm going to meet up with Guljen and Babu and Lakpa, my friends there. We're still on the Facebook,
Great.
Sending each other messages and pictures. He's sending me, sent me an aerial shot of Everest the other day. It was stunning. Oh, that's the other part of the Fat Cat package. You come back off the mountain on full oxygen, carried down by your guide, who you'd probably call a Sherpa. Sherpa, fix me.
They carry you down.
More or less.
Like on a split.
Yeah, that can. Basically they hold your hand all the way down, and the
Polynesian King kit type thing.
Oh God, this guy, fucking, what company does he represent? And then it's the chopper from base camp takes you all the way back to Kathmandu airport. So you can but it's 5,000 US for the chopper, the heli lift from base camp to Kathmandu. Did
you go to Kathmandu?
We arrived into Kathmandu. We spent time there having a look around, having a shop. It was beautiful, but then flight to Lukla, 9-day trek to base camp.
That's great. I only know the Bob Seger song. You actually know Kathmandu. So, Mickey, I'm really proud of the fact that you did that, and I really loved watching you live stream it on Facebook. Please do that again if you go back. And I absolutely love you, man. We always have so much fun.
Man. Yeah.
I'm so glad to be back in your country.
We missed you, brother.
And hang out with you. And we've had great times in comedy festivals all over the world.
Yeah, man. Mad love for you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. I got nothing but love and respect for you, brother. Hopefully one day I will make it to Adelaide. And in closing, do you have any words of wisdom or advice you'd like to give to the people of the earth? Just
be yourself. Be yourself, and it might take a while to find which version that is, but, take some deep breaths every now and then and just recenter yourself. I know it sounds a little bit wanky, and if I gave that advice to myself when I was stressed, I'd say, get the fuck out of my face, man. But it's nothing worse than someone come up to you and saying, hey, man, breathe.
Right.
But they're fucking right. You take a few deep breaths, just recenter yourself, whether you're about to jump off a bridge when you're strapped to a bungee, or you're about to go on stage, or you're about to walk into a job interview, or you're about to try and have a deep and meaningful, non-violent argument with your better half. A few deep breaths, just center yourself, get that clarity, and get into your flow state. That's where all the good stuff happens.
Beautiful. All right, Mickey. I'm proud to know you. Proud to be your friend, brother.
Well, back at you, man.
Long may you run, my brother. Long may you run.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Time, if you want to give and support us or donate, Patreon, patreon.com, patreon.com/Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp. And if you want to enrich your life with wisdom and laughter, you can buy my brand new album, All Hail Laughter, on iTunes and Amazon. It's a double album, and it will certainly enrich your life with laughter. Enjoy.